Hello and welcome to yet another coverage of Phase 2 of Alieu Kosiah's war crimes trial taking place here in Bellinzona, Switzerland. My name is Anthony Stevens. Today Kosiah was cross-examined by the plaintiff's lawyers and he did deny all of the charges against him. There are 25 charges against Kosiah against him for his alleged role during the First Liberian Civil War. Some of the charges include rape, cannibalism, torture, forced transportation, looting. He denied all of those charges today. He said he's innocent. He did also accuse the plaintiff's counsel, particularly Mr. Alieu Kosiah, of being a manipulator. He also called Mr. Asambedete, who is the director of the Global Justice and Research Project, one of two organizations that filed a formal complaint with the help, who helped the 7 people who claim to be witnesses filed a formal complaint against Kosiah with Swiss authorities. He did say that Bedete and Mr. Vena are both manipulators. He said the charges against him have been fabricated by these people for their own benefits, for their own profits. But he did admit that he did go to Lofa, but was not present, according to him, when all of the alleged incidents took place, including the killing of a school teacher. With us now is Kosiah's lawyer, Mr. Gianoli, Dimitri Gianoli. Welcome.
Bonsoir.
And how do you see the trial proceeding so far? What are your thoughts about how the trial has been proceeding so far since it resumed last week?
Comment vous voyez le processus jusqu'à là? Qu'est-ce que vous pensez à propos de ce procès?
Alors, à l'instar de M. Kosiah, je suis très confiant par rapport à ce que nous avons vécu cette dernière semaine, notamment pour plusieurs raisons. Nous avons des plaignants qui sont venus témoigner devant la Cour et à l'instar de ce que M. Alieu Kosiah a eu l'occasion de souligner, on peut déjà constater qu'il y a de très nombreuses contradictions dans le cadre de cette procès.
So I'm very confident after this first week in Mr. Alieu Kosiah. Notably, the plaintiffs came to testify before the court, and there are many contradictions.
And let's say that Mr. Gianoli is talking to us in French, and we have one of our colleagues who's helping us with the interpretation of every question we are posing to him this afternoon. You last week, throughout the course of last week, you were apparently pointing out what you saw as apparent contradictions in the testimonies of the witnesses, and you were impeaching the credibility. What was the motive?
Le problème de la crédibilité donc, de ces différents plaignants s'inscrit dans le fait qu'il y a déjà de nombreuses contradictions entre les plaintes initiales qui ont été déposées par les avocats et leur première audition à Berne. Ce sont les premières contradictions.
So there are some contradictions between the first time that the plaintiffs came to give their testimony before the Swiss authorities and now.
Et ces plaignants ont aussi de nombreuses contradictions au sein de leur propre récit qu'ils ont fait à Berne. C'est la deuxième élément.
And there are also many contradictions between the time that they gave their testimony at Bern.
Troisième contradiction qui s'inscrit dans ce dossier, c'est les témoignages qu'ils ont apportés à Berne, confrontés aux autres plaignants ou autres témoins que nous avons en procédure.
What specifically are those contradictions for our audience who has not had the chance to know about some of them? What are some of the contradictions that you have seen in their testimonies?
Quelles sont quelques contradictions que vous avez aperçues spécifiquement?
Alors pour l'instant, je ne rentrerai pas dans le détail puisque nous avons encore des témoins qui doivent venir, qui doivent être entendus devant la Cour et ces témoins pourront justement confirmer ou infirmer. Vous comprendrez que je ne leur pas pour l'instant à parler publiquement. Je rajouterai simplement qu'à ces 3 types de contradictions s'ajoutent encore les contradictions qui sont nouvellement nées avec les déclarations qu'ils ont faites devant la Cour.
So for now, I will not enter into the details about the specific contradictions because we still need to hear from witnesses who are coming to testify before the court. But what I will say is that in addition to these 3 contradictions, is that there are additional contradictions now that have been raised before this process.
I did hear you last week on Saturday precisely. You took over 30 minutes to talk about some contradictions. Specifically, you were saying that at some point the plaintiffs didn't know your client in person. They couldn't really tell whether he was the one who had committed those alleged crimes. But I did hear some of the plaintiffs saying, in fact, all of the plaintiffs saying, yes, it was Kosiah. They could recognize him by his voice. They could recognize him by his color, by his skin color. They could recognize him by the way he talks, the way he shouts. So, what is contradictory about that?
La seule que j'évoquerai pour l'instant devant vous, c'est comment expliquer que des plaignants qui ont vécu des faits qui sont dramatiques apparemment au Libéria ne le reconnaissent absolument pas sur sa photo d'époque. Mais tous ont pu le reconnaître, quasiment tous, ont pu le reconnaître sur sa photo actuelle. Déjà rien que ça, c'est un élément qui est déterminant.
I would say that something that's really important is that the plaintiffs that live dramatical events could not recognize Kosiah on a picture of him at the time of the facts, but they almost all recognize him from a picture that from today.
So does that mean you still hold the view that he's not the person that is accused of all these crimes?
Est-ce que ça veut dire que vous pensez ou vous disiez que c'est pas la personne qui a commis ces crimes?
Autant que ces crimes aient été commis.
In the event that these crimes were committed.
And quickly before you leave us, because I know you're a very basic person, quickly before you leave us, today in court, when your client was being cross-examined, he accused Amnesty International, he accused Civitas Massima, he accused Global Justice and Research Project, he even accused the media, precisely the AFP, of fabricating stories against him. What is his evidence?
Alors, je n'ai pas entendu qu'il avait accusé toutes ces personnes, si ce n'est l'organisation principale qui l'a conduit devant cette cour. Simplement, ces propos ont été de relever que dans une situation comme celle-ci, il faut être très prudent avec la manière dont les témoignages sont collectés. Et c'est ça le propos qu'il a tenu. Il n'a pas dit que les institutions, les différentes institutions nommées avaient fait de faux témoignages, ce n'est pas ça. Il a indiqué qu'on ne sait pas dans quelles circonstances ces témoignages ont été recueillis, et c'est la raison pour laquelle il faut les prendre avec beaucoup de recul.
He didn't really say that.
He did say that the charges were lied, were all
He
fabricated against him.
He didn't say that there was anything wrong with these organizations in particular. What he did say, and what we want to focus on, is the manner in which these witnesses and their testimonies were collected.
Your client did call Mr. Alain Vendor of Civitas Massima. He did call you a manipulator. He did call Mr. Hassan Belli to the scene. And he said these are people who have manipulated the charges against him for their own benefits. He said it in court today.
Oui, s'agissant effectivement de l'organisation qui est conduite par Maître Werner, il a porté des accusations dans ce sens-là. Ce que je voulais dire, c'est par rapport aux autres administrations ou ONG, il n'a pas porté d'accusation concrète. En revanche, toutes les anomalies, disons, qui existent au sein du dossier par rapport à la manière dont les auditions ont été récoltées, la manière dont les témoins ont été trouvés, le pousse à dire qu'il y a une manipulation, parce qu'il répète qu'il n'a pas commis le crime qu'on lui reproche devant cette cour.
Concerning the organization from Alain Werner, yes, he did say that there was some manipulation, but no accusation against the other organizations. The manner in which the witnesses have been found, it's clear that there have been some manipulation and some misleadings.
Je rajouterai encore que selon M. Kosiah, il a clairement été ciblé parce qu'il vivait en Suisse et parce que l'ONG Civitas Maxima est en Suisse.
According to Mr. Kosiah, he believes that he was stopped in Switzerland because he lived in Switzerland, and the organization Civita Maxima is a Swiss organization.
Now, does the client think he will get justice here? Does he think so?
Monsieur Kosiah est très confiant sur l'issue de cette procédure. Il croit en la justice en Suisse et le dernier mot sera donc à cette dernière, à laquelle je suis également confiant.
Mr. Kosiah is really confident. He believes in the Swiss justice, and the last word will be from this justice, in which I'm also confident.
And lastly, before I leave you, last year, Kosiah, when he was testifying in court, did say that he has been prosecuted. He said the charges against him are lied, but he also said that because he's a Mandingo man and he belongs to a minority Mandingo ethnic group in Liberia, that's why he's been prosecuted here, because people refer to Mandingos as Dingos, which according to him means dogs and all of that. What is running through his mind as he makes all these claims against his fellow Liberians back home?
Je crois que M. Kosiah ne comprend pas la raison pour laquelle on porte des accusations telles que celle-ci contre lui. Et à la demande de savoir pourquoi, comment est-ce qu'on peut expliquer ça, lui, une de ses hypothèses est celle du fait que, précisément parce qu'il est Mandingo, il peut exister des jalousies entre les ethnies. C'est une hypothèse uniquement, d'autres raisons, il ne les connaît pas, mais c'est, je pense, dans ce sens-là que lui le comprend et l'explique.
Mr. Kosiah doesn't understand why these accusations are made against himself. So one of his hypotheses is that he's a Mandingo man and that there is some jealousies between the ethnicities. Thank you.
So you think he thinks that people are jealous of him, people are jealous of Mandingos, that's why particularly he's been prosecuted.
C'est une explication possible.
It's one explanation.
There's one explanation. Is there anything you want to say before you leave us?
Non, je vous
Do
remercie.
you have any message for Kosiah's supporters who may be following this interview?
Une fois encore, un message non seulement pour les amis de M. Kosiah, mais également pour l'ensemble du peuple libérien. M. Kosiah se réjouit d'avoir une réponse donnée par la justice, parce que c'est vrai que 6 ans, plus de 6 ans, c'est très long.
It's a message for all Kosiah's friends and the Liberian people. Kosiah is looking forward to have an answer from the justice, because 6 years in prison is a long time.
I know I said last day when you talked about 6 years. Does he think that he's been put in secret detention for long? 6 years? He has repeatedly talked about 6 years, and he has gotten angry about that. We've seen his outbursts. He's shot at 6 years on 2 occasions last week, and then he had to be calmed down. Does he feel he's been held in secret detention for 6 years for too long, for nothing?
Allez-y.
On a vu justement, quand il s'est énervé, qu'il disait 6 ans, il l'a répété plusieurs fois. Est-ce qu'il pense qu'il a été emprisonné trop longtemps et puis à tort au final? C'est ça que... Only one day, according to Mr. Kosiah, was already too much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gianoli. And you think you learned how it's personal to broadcast live. There's some kind of discussion, but if we're talking to Mr. Dimitri Gianoli, we just asking for his party comments before you leave. So, and just last question. This is the last question to you. Your critics are saying you don't have any good defense. Your defense is weak. You just are trying to farm just flimsy excuses in the testimonies of the witnesses. You just say the testimonies do not corroborate.
Les critiques disent que votre défense est faible et que vous n'avez rien d'autre que des contradictions entre les témoignages.
Le dernier mot appartiendra à la justice. Et je pense que ce sera la meilleure réponse qui pourra être faite.
The last word will be given by justice, and I think it will be the best answer who can be given.
Okay, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dimitri Gianoli has been speaking to us. He's the lawyer for Alieu Kosiah. Alieu Kosiah is an ex-Union general. He's 45 years, so he's standing trial for alleged war crimes committed during the First Liberian Civil War. Today, Kosiah, like I mentioned in the intro of this interview of this coverage, Kosiah did say that he is innocent of all of the charges. He has denied all of the charges against him. He did accuse Civitas Massima. He did accuse that was Transparency International. He did accuse the Global Justice and Research Project, one of the organizations that filed a formal complaint against him with the Swiss prosecutors, which led them to formally indict him, and then his trial began. Tomorrow there will be other witnesses who will testify. We aren't allowed to call the names of these witnesses as they testify because their safety has to be guaranteed. We've been called repeatedly by the judges to remind us that we shouldn't disclose the identities of these witnesses as they come to testify. But all we can say to you is that we'll bring you a special report every time on all of these proceedings as they do happen here at the Federal Criminal Court in Bellinzona, Switzerland. My name is Anthony Stevens, but just before I leave you, there were a few other things that I didn't mention to Kosiah's cross-examination. Today, Kosiah was asked about cannibalism, about specifically the case of Mr. Dimini was one of the people that Kosiah was accused of ordering this killing. The witnesses did talk about that last week, and as part of his indictment, Kosiah said that's not true. He said even though he did hold a rank of a corner in the Union structure, but he was not in FOIA at the time of said alleged killing, because one of the witnesses they said that Mr. Dimini was ordered killed. He was stabbed by Union soldiers on a Kosiah's command. Kosiah did deny that. He also did deny looting. He did deny that they compared civilians to transport looted items. He said that was not true. He said they did ask civilians for money. He did admit that he and Jews did go to the Guinean border at some point in time. He did say that when they went to the Guinean border, they were asking civilians for money as opposed to taking money from them or taking items for them. Those were the things he said today in court. He also did deny rape allegations against him. One of the people who filed a formal complaint against Kosiah is a female, and she will be testifying tomorrow. We've been told by the court authorities here from an undisclosed location, but Kosiah did say that it is not true that he did rape her. So he's denied basically all of the allegations against him. He was sounding very cheeky today at some point as he evaded the questions that were posed to him by the plaintiff's counsels. And we couldn't have spoken to the plaintiff's counsels today because they said they want to speak to us, but it has to be after all of the testimonies, which will be at the close of this week, hopefully on Friday. That's why you didn't hear us speaking to any one of them, but Mr. Gianoli was gracious enough to talk to us just on the surface of what has happened so far. Good night. My name is Anthony Stevens. Thanks for watching us.